Welcome to Soul2Soul Educare's Eat This, Not That, a quick guide to good health. Information the media will not tell you. This presentation was given at the Global Health and Humanitarian Summit at Emory in Atlanta, Georgia on April 15, 2012. I am Nita Sanders, co-founder of Soul2Soul Educare. Soul2Soul Educare started in 2008 with a goal to raise people's awareness and help people to make better choices in life so that they can have a healthy, happy, and spiritual existence. We teach vegan cooking classes, offer free health seminars, and other workshops on spiritual growth. We even conduct spiritual movie nights. You can find out more about what we do by going to our website www.soul2souleducare.org. Today from this presentation, you will learn how to make healthy food swaps with everyday foods. Example, what kind of sugar, salt, oil you should use to be healthy. You will also learn about what common foods to avoid and how to detect common food baddies. We will also explain the dangers of genetically modified organisms, also known as GMOs. So let us begin with sugar. The first type of sugar that we're going to talk about is rapadura. Rapadura is the pure juice extracted from sugar cane using a press, which is then evaporated over low heat whilst being stirred with paddles, then sifted and ground to produce a grainy sugar. It has not been cooked at high heats and spun to change it into crystals, and the molasses has not been separated from the sugar. It is produced organically and does not contain chemicals or anti-caking agents. Rapadura is a whole food product which can vary according to sugarcane variety, soil type, and weather. This is why one batch of rapadura may be lighter or darker than the last batch. Because rapadura is not separated from the molasses, it has more nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. Because rapadura is dehydrated at a low heat, the vitamins and minerals have been retained. It still has a natural balance of sucrose, glucose, and fructose, and contains components essential for its digestion. It is metabolized more slowly than white sugar, and therefore will not affect your blood sugar levels as much as refined sugars. The more refined the sugar, the more it raises your blood sugar. The German company Rapunzel registered the name Rapadura for the organic sugar they sold, but because of the diplomatic problems it caused, the labeling was recently changed to organic whole cane sugar. Now Rapadura is not available everywhere, but Sucanat is. Sucanat is very similar to Rapadura, and it stands for Sucanat, which is sugarcane natural. The only difference between Sucanat and Rapadura is that the sugar stream and the molasses stream are separated from each other during processing for Sucanat. Otherwise, they're very similar products. What you should avoid is artificial sweeteners and also refined sugar. The next thing is oil. The best kind of oil you can use is grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is as versatile as olive oil, but it is often preferred because it has a higher smoke point or higher heat index and is able to withstand higher cooking temperatures than its olive-based counterpart. The good points of grapeseed oil are it is high in vitamin E and omega-6 fatty acids. It contains natural antioxidants. It has been shown to raise good cholesterol, that's HDL, and lower bad cholesterol, that's LDL. The only con for grapeseed oil is that it may cause allergic reactions in people who have known allergies to grapes. The next thing is salt. Commonly sold table salt is composed of 97.5% sodium chloride and 2.5% chemicals like iodine and absorbents. Common salt is also dried at more than 1200 Fahrenheit, a process which zaps many of the natural chemical structures of naturally occurring salt. The table and cooking salt found in most homes, restaurants, and all processed foods is empty of any nutritional value. It is lacking in the precious trace minerals that make salt good for us. After processing, salt is basically sodium chloride, an unnatural chemical type of salt that our body actually sees as a foreign toxic invader. When we ingest this type of salt, our body cannot dispose of it in a natural, healthy way. This can lead to inflammation of the tissues, water retention, and high blood pressure over time. In order for our body to metabolize chemical table salt, it must waste tremendous amounts of energy to try to keep the body at its optimum fluid balance. This creates an unnecessary burdening of the elimination systems in the body. Water is also removed from other cells in the system in an attempt to neutralize the unnatural sodium chloride. Studies show that for each gram of table salt that our system cannot process, our body will use over 20 times the amount of cellular water to neutralize the sodium chloride in chemically treated salt. This again leads to water retention, cellulite, rheumatism, arthritis, gout, as well as kidney and gallbladder stones. Thus, choosing to use Himalayan salt as an alternative can have a big impact on our total health and well-being. A biophysical research on this Himalayan pink salt has identified crystals that contain 84 essential minerals required to sustain human life. Himalayan salt has no additives and can alleviate the symptoms of a variety of conditions. A study conducted at the University of Graz in Austria found that people who drank water containing Himalayan crystal salt daily actually experienced improvement in respiratory conditions, organ functions, and connective tissues. Participants also reported sleeping better and having more energy. The study noted a boost in the ability to achieve higher concentration levels as well. Some of the study participants stated that they lost unwanted weight, while others involved in the study showed enhanced hair and nail growth. The next thing we're going to talk about is flour. Enriched or refined flour, also called bleach flour, is what we should all avoid. First, you need to understand what is bleached flour. As you might expect, it is whiter than the unbleached version, but how does it get that way? Do they put it through a Clorox rinse? No, but it's close. After the flour is milled, it is subjected to a chlorine gas bath, which whitens it, reduces the gluten content, and provides a finer grain. What's worse than the addition of the chemicals is that the chlorine combines with proteins in the flour to produce alloxan, which is a known carcinogen. Alloxan is used in lab tests to induce diabetes in rats and mice because it destroys beta cells in the pancreas. Next, you need to understand what is bromated flour. Bromated flour has been treated with potassium bromate to improve dough elasticity, allow it to stand up to commercial baking practices, and produce a higher rising bread. Potassium bromate is a potential carcinogen that may be harmful when consumed and is outlawed in the UK. It has been associated with thyroid dysfunction, and some states, but not all, require that potassium bromate be disclosed on food labels. So unbleached, unbromated on the label is a good thing. So look for breads that have unbleached, unbromated on the label. Plus, refined flour is very high in carbohydrates and increases blood sugar very quickly within half an hour of eating, hence increasing the risk of diabetes. Now, if you've decided to become vegan or you are lactose intolerant, you might have switched to a non-dairy milk. A lot of people, when they switch to non-dairy milk, tend to switch to soy milk. Soy actually increases the estrogen in your body. A better substitute to soy milk is coconut milk. Coconut milk contains many vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes, such as potassium, calcium, and chloride. It also helps with weight loss. The saturated fat in coconut is made up of fatty acids that the body quickly turns into energy instead of storing as fat. It also fights diseases. The lauric acid in coconut milk is antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal. Thus, it boosts the immune system. It is also a natural remedy. It helps relieve the symptoms of sore throats and ulcers. Coconut milk is great for your skin and hair and relieves dry skin and rashes. It also reduces the risk of heart disease, stroke, cancer, osteoporosis, diabetes, digestive problems, skin cancer, and blemishes. This next slide is about water. According to Ayurveda, the oldest form of medicine, having iced or cold drinks, especially with or right after a meal, will hamper your effective digestion. It's like emptying cold water over hot coals. The cold water will solidify the oils that you have just consumed, thus slowing down the digestive process. This causes weight gain because of inadequate digestion. The best practice is to drink only 30 minutes after your meal. And when you do drink something, choose hot or lukewarm water. You may have noticed that the Chinese and Japanese never drink cold water with their meals, only hot tea. This is probably a major factor why obesity is very low in China and Japan, whereas the Americans down glasses of ice water, and obesity is rampant in this country. The next thing we're going to talk about is protein. Whenever people decide to adopt a vegetarian or vegan diet, they always ask the same question: where will I get my protein? In fact, it's virtually impossible not to get protein. According to Dr. Norman Walker, who lived to the ripe old age of 99, he lived only on raw fruit and vegetables. He was healthy until his dying day, when he peacefully passed away in his sleep. Meat protein may build the body, but does considerable harm to the mind and causes all kinds of diseases. There are many alternate sources of protein. It is present in dairy products, in wheat, in vegetables. Vegans can also find higher levels of protein in quinoa, tofu, tempeh, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds. Another example is a tablespoon serving of acai juice has 13 grams of protein, more than that provided by a whole egg, which only comes in at 12 grams. The next thing we're going to talk about is organic versus non-organic, a dilemma that many people face. Did you know that the only way to remove pesticides completely from produce is to wash them in apple cider vinegar? Otherwise, traces of pesticides still remain, even when you wash them thoroughly with water. You can tell produce is organic by the sticker on it. Organic produce have 5 numbers, always starting with 9, whereas non-organic produce has 4 numbers, generally starting with 4. When you see a non-organic shiny apple, that sheen you see comes from glazing the apples with shellac, a brittle or flaky secretion of the lac insect, also known as a Coccus laca or Laccifer laca. These insects are found in the forests of Assam and Thailand. Or they are made shiny with paraffin wax. In the first State of Science review, a report entitled Minimizing Pesticide Dietary Exposure Through the Consumption of Organic Food, the findings showed that in the U.S. alone, more than 1 billion pounds of pesticides are used daily in the food we eat and the environment. Children, especially unborn fetuses and babies, are especially vulnerable to exposure to pesticides. Also, did you know that converting 10,000 medium-sized farms to organic production actually reduces carbon dioxide, which accounts for 80% of global warming? This is as much as taking 1,174,400 cars off the road. So every time you buy an organic product, you're actually helping to save the earth. Another problem with non-organic produce is that pesticides again, and Parkinson's disease. A new Harvard study has linked pesticide exposure to a 70% increase in Parkinson's disease. The study, which is the largest ever conducted, was released in July 2006 issue of the Annals of Neurology. Plus, if you don't eat organic produce, you are also exposing yourself to GMOs, which is what we're going to talk about in the next slide. So what are GMOs? Genetically modified foods. We're going to talk about the health risks of GMOs. This information is from the book Genetic Roulette, the documented health risks of genetically engineered foods, and Seeds of Deception, both books by Jeffrey Smith. GMOs are genetically modified organisms. where genes are taken from one species, like bacteria or viruses, and forced into the DNA of another species, like soybeans and corn plants. Irrespective of what particular gene you insert, the very process of creating a GMO results in massive collateral damage to the plant, which can increase toxins, allergens, carcinogens, and anti-nutrients. The only published human feeding study revealed what may be the most dangerous problem with GM foods. The gene inserted into GM soy transfers into the DNA of bacteria living inside our intestines and continues to function. This means that long after we stop eating GMOs, we may still have potentially harmful GM proteins produced continuously inside of us. To put it more plainly, eating a corn chip produced from Bt corn might transform our intestinal bacteria into living pesticide factories, possibly for the rest of our lives. This study was conducted by Dr. Arpad Pusai, the world's leading expert in his field, working at a top nutritional research institute in the UK. His team of scientists created a GM potato that produced its own insecticide. They fed the GM potato to rats. They also fed another group of rats a potato spiked with the same pesticide that the GM potato was engineered to produce. And the third group got regular potatoes. And all the groups received a balanced diet. The group that ate the GM potatoes was seriously damaged. The potatoes spiked with the insecticides did not show problems. What then was the cause for the health damage? It was not the insecticide. It was most likely the process of genetic engineering. The rats developed potentially precancerous cell growth in the digestive tract. They produced smaller brains, livers, and testicles, and they also had partial atrophy of the liver and damaged immune systems. So how can we stop GMOs in our food? In the U.S., if even 5% of the U.S. population rejected GM brands, it would be more than enough to reach this tipping point. Whatever the magic percentage is, there are certainly far more people in the U.S. who would buy non-GMO products if given a choice. In fact, 53% of Americans said they would avoid GMOs if they were labeled. This is how they got rid of GMOs in Europe. So if we stop buying GMO foods today, that would really help. So go ahead, buy only foods that say non-GMO on them. This PowerPoint is only a small snippet from our comprehensive food and health workshop, which is called Eat Right for Spiritual Might, which generally runs about 5 hours. If you're interested to have more thorough information, you can purchase our book, which is an e-book, Eat Right for Spiritual Might. You can purchase this on our website, which is www.soul2souleducare.org. Thank you for watching. Have a healthy, happy life.